Okay, let's start the dive. Today's mission is really focused entirely on security. If you've, internalized that fundamental truth, not your keys, not your coins, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're moving past just the theory today. We're aiming to give you the blueprint for actually protecting your Bitcoin wealth.
Yeah, we've looked at guides from, well, all across the security spectrum. We're analyzing everything from basic seed phrase hygiene, the simple stuff, right up to advanced strategies like multi-signature wallets.
hmm
Because as the value of holding your own keys rises, so does the need for absolute vigilance against these modern, pretty sophisticated attacks.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is the moment you take self-sovereignty, you literally become your own bank. That sounds incredibly powerful, right? But it also means you are now solely responsible for that bank's security, all of it. So we're going to try and walk you through how to build, well, an impenetrable vault for yourself. Okay, let's begin with probably the most obvious question for most people listening. Why should anyone really bother with all the complexity of self-custody? Especially when centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Binance or Kraken, they're regulated, right? And they make managing funds seem incredibly convenient.
Well, the trade-off is pretty stark, isn't it? It's control versus convenience. That's the core of it. With custodial wallets, you're relying on a third party to hold your private keys.
Hmm.
Now, they are convenient, sure. They handle things like password recovery, and usually they abide by rules like KYC and AML, know your customer, anti-money laundering, which governments require.
Right, but doesn't that regulatory oversight, doesn't that provide some kind of safety net?
Not really for the core asset itself. I mean, if the platform fails, if they get hacked, or if they suffer bankruptcy, and that's happened repeatedly in this industry, your assets are at serious risk. They could be frozen or even seized, gone.
Wait, though, if exchanges are that vulnerable, maybe even easily hackable, why do billions, literally billions of dollars still stay on them? Is the convenience just still winning out for the average person?
For many, yes.
Yeah.
Especially if you're new to the space, it just seems easier. But the sources we looked at show the risk is genuinely high. High enough that even regulators are getting wary. You have SEC Chair Gary Gensler, for example, who's publicly questioned whether crypto exchanges can actually be considered qualified custodians,
Yeah.
for professional investment funds. And when these platforms fail, users are often left fighting in bankruptcy court. They usually end up losing most, if not all, of their funds.
Wow. Okay, that puts the risk into a much clearer perspective. And we even have this moment of unexpected clarity from, well, the criminal world on this very point.
We do, yeah. It was pretty surprising. In a recorded interview, an anonymous scammer actually advised people point blank, withdraw your Bitcoin from all exchanges. Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, all of them. Move it to self-custody. And why? Because, in their own words, exchanges. You can easily hack that. So when the criminals themselves tell you where the vulnerability is, maybe you should listen. The consensus is pretty clear. For any significant amount of value, a non-custodial wallet where you control the keys isn't just a good idea, it's mandatory. Okay, so the seed phrase, your 12 or maybe 24 words. This is your absolute master password. It's everything. Technically, it represents 32 bytes of entropy. That's just the cryptographic secret needed to regenerate your private key, the key that unlocks your entire fortune. If you lose it, the funds are just gone, forever. And if a thief steals that phrase, they have total, instantaneous access to everything.
Okay, let's break down the biggest mistakes people make. The absolute core security blunders with this magic sequence of words.
Right. The biggest mistakes nearly always involve digital exposure. So rule number 1, absolutely ironclad, never share it. No exceptions. Don't ever share your seed phrase with anyone, ever. Doesn't matter if they claim to be tech support or the platform or anything. If any person or any interface asks for your seed phrase, it is definitively 100% a scam, full stop.
And the second major threat, that involves all our connected devices, right? Our phones, our laptops.
Exactly. That's what we call the digital death trap. You must never, ever under any circumstances, let your seed phrase be exposed to an internet-connected device. That means no taking pictures of it on your phone,
Yeah.
no saving it in a cloud file or your password manager, and especially never type it into your regular computer keyboard. Malware is specifically designed sometimes to scan your entire hard drive, just looking for that specific sequence of 12 or 24 words.
And this includes things like fake applications, really convincing ones that look just like the official software from hardware wallet companies.
Precisely. Thieves build these malicious replicas. They look identical to Ledger Live or Trezor Suite or whatever software you use. Their only goal: to trick you into typing in your seed phrase when you open the program, maybe thinking you need to recover or connect your wallet. If you do that, If you type it in, poof, your Bitcoin is instantly swept away, gone in seconds.
Okay, so if digital is just way too dangerous, we absolutely have to turn to physical security. Now, I've used paper backups for years, like many people. What's the real tangible risk difference between that piece of paper and, say, stamping the words into metal?
Paper is cheap. It's easy. But it's incredibly fragile, isn't it? It's highly susceptible to natural disasters. I mean, think about a house fire. Even if the fire itself doesn't reach the paper, what about the water from the fire hose? A high-velocity stream could easily destroy paper backups. So the superior method, especially for long-term security, is definitely stamping your phrase into metal. Steel, titanium, something robust. This makes the backup fire-resistant and water-resistant. It protects that crucial information, potentially across decades.
Right, but security often seems to bring more complexity, doesn't it? Let's talk about this advanced idea of the 25th word, sometimes called a passphrase. It sounds like a great extra layer of security, but what's the potential trap here? Is there a downside?
Oh, there's a critical trade-off. Using a 25th word, which essentially transforms your private key, is excellent protection against someone physically finding and stealing your metal backup, for instance. But it immediately introduces what we call a 2 of 2 security model. Think of it like needing 2 separate keys to open one lock. You absolutely need both the original 24-word seed and that 25th word passphrase to access your funds. If you lose either one, the seed or the passphrase, you are completely locked out forever. So while you increase security against theft by adding one variable, you drastically increase the risk of locking yourself out if you forget or lose that crucial passphrase. It's a balance.
Okay. Hardware wallets, they're generally seen as the gold standard for cold storage, right? Keeping those keys completely offline. But before we even plug one in, what's the single biggest security concern when you're actually getting the device itself, buying it?
Acquisition security. It's absolutely paramount. You must always purchase hardware wallets, whether it's Ledger, Trezor, Coldcard, Foundation Passport, any reputable brand. Buy it directly from the manufacturer.
Why not just, grab one quickly off Amazon or eBay? Maybe it's cheaper or faster.
Because the risk of supply chain attacks is very real. A malicious actor could intercept the device somewhere between the factory and you. They could modify it, maybe flash compromised firmware onto it, or even swap out internal components and then reseal the box perfectly. When it arrives, you absolutely have to inspect the packaging meticulously. Look for any sign of tampering on those security seals. Buying direct minimizes this risk significantly.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about the sort of cutting-edge, air-gapped devices.
Yeah.
If the hardware wallet is already offline, what exactly are we protecting it from by making it air-gapped?
We're protecting it from the computer it usually connects to. Because let's face it, most of our computers are likely compromised in some way, or at least vulnerable to malware. Devices like Seed Signer, they really emphasize operation in isolation. They have no USB port, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no physical or wireless connection to the potentially infected computer. Instead, they communicate using a secure visual protocol.
How does that even work? How does the transaction get signed without plugging anything in?
They use something called partially signed Bitcoin transactions, or PSBTs for short. These are exchanged visually, typically using QR codes displayed on the device's screen and scanned by a camera. You can think of PSBTs like a secure signed letter being passed between 2 locked rooms. The key never, ever leaves the secure room, which is the hardware device. The potentially insecure computer prepares the transaction details. You scan that onto the air-gapped device. The device signs it internally using the private key, and then it displays the signed transaction as another QR code, which you scan back to the computer to broadcast. This air gap dramatically reduces the attack vectors from computer malware.
That brings up a really fascinating security concept you mentioned, statelessness. What does that mean in this context?
Yes, statelessness is a key feature for some devices, like Seed Signer. It's designed so that it uses your private key only as a temporary variable. It exists just in the active volatile memory, the RAM. The instant that device loses power, like when you unplug it or take the battery out, that private key is permanently erased, gone. It doesn't store it long term. This is actually a huge security advantage. It means you can safely use one single device with multiple different seed phrases, or different wallets perhaps, without any risk of data lingering or being recoverable later. Each session starts fresh.
Okay, moving on. For, let's say, life-changing amounts of money, and one source we saw put that figure pretty conservatively at over $75,000. Maybe single sig security, just one key isn't quite enough. This is where a multi-sig or multi-signature comes in. So what exactly is a multi-sig wallet, and why is it considered so much better for fault tolerance?
Right, think of multi-sig like needing multiple keys to open a high-security bank vault, or maybe like a corporate board needing a quorum to approve spending money from the treasury. To spend your Bitcoin funds, you need a predefined number of keys or signatures out of a larger total set. You need a majority, usually. So a common setup might be 2 of 3 or maybe 3 of 5 keys required.
Ah, okay. So if I have a 2 of 3 setup, that means I could actually lose one of my keys completely, like maybe a fire destroys one backup. But I can still access my funds with the other 2. And crucially, an attacker would have to somehow steal 2 of my keys, not just one, to get my funds. It's like needing 2 physical keys, maybe stored in totally different locations, just to open that one lockbox.
Precisely. That's the beauty of it. It makes catastrophic loss, due to accident or loss, significantly less likely. And it makes theft much, much harder. An attacker needs not just the required number of keys, like 2 out of 3, but they also usually need the specific wallet configuration file that defines the multi-sig setup. This makes coordinating a successful theft vastly more complex.
And there are services out there now that can help manage this redundancy, right? Without taking custody themselves.
Yes, exactly. There are collaborative custody services. Unchained Capital is a well-known example. They often hold one key in, say, a 2 of 3 setup. This gives you technical support, which can be really helpful, and it provides a crucial backup key if you happen to lose one of yours. But, and this is key, they do this while maintaining your ultimate sovereignty. Because you still hold the majority of the keys needed to spend the funds, you hold 2 of the 3. They can't just run off with your coins on their own.
Makes sense. Okay, so beyond these advanced storage methods like metal backups and multi-sig, what active steps should every single learner take? Steps to ensure their whole security setup actually works when, the time comes they really need it?
Right. You absolutely need to stop assuming and start verifying.
Yeah.
The very first step, and this is non-negotiable, test your backup. Seriously. Deposit a small, trivial amount of funds into your wallet. Then, deliberately delete the wallet software or reset the hardware device. Then, try to successfully restore it only using your seed phrase backup, your metal plate, your paper, whatever it is. If you don't actually do a test run, you simply can't be confident that it will work when you actually need it, perhaps years down the line in an emergency.
Yeah, I can see how the anxiety about messing it up might prevent people from testing, but it sounds crucial. What about when you're actually making a transfer? Handing Bitcoin.
This is where mistakes often happen under pressure. You need to slow down when transacting. Scammers absolutely rely on creating panic and urgency. They want you to act fast without thinking. Always move slowly. If it's a large amount, always send a small test transaction first. Wait for it to confirm. And crucially, always verify the receiving address meticulously on the secure screen of your hardware device itself. Don't just trust the address you see on your computer screen. There's malware specifically designed to swap that address in your clipboard or on the screen at the last second. Verify on the trusted device.
Good tip. And finally, for the truly sovereignty-minded, the really dedicated users, there's the idea of running your own full node. Why is this considered more private than just connecting your wallet to a public server?
Well, when you connect your wallet software, something like Sparrow Wallet, for example, to a public server, that server's operator can potentially see quite a lot. They can see your transaction history, they can infer your total balance, and they can often link it to your IP address. This definitely compromises your financial privacy. Running your own full Bitcoin node means you are the one validating the transactions yourself. You're not asking anyone else for information about the blockchain. You connect your wallet directly to your own node. This makes your activity much more private, it's more trustless, and you're also contributing directly to the network's decentralization. It's the difference between blindly trusting what the network tells you and truly verifying every single interaction yourself. #outro.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot there. From the essential shift from relying on centralized custody to really embracing self-sovereignty, to the absolute imperative of keeping that 32 bytes of entropy, that seed phrase, safely physical and offline, and the power of building redundancy through things like multi-sig. It hammers home the point, doesn't it? Security in Bitcoin is an active process. It's definitely not a set-it-and-forget-it product.
Absolutely. And if listeners take away just 2 things, maybe it should be these guidelines. First, if any interface asks for your seed phrase, it's a scam, no exceptions. Just back away immediately. And second, if you don't actually do a test run of restoring a wallet from your backup, you can't be truly confident that it will work when you actually need it. Test it. Please test it.
So, wrapping up, what does this all really mean for you, the listener? Here's maybe a final thought to chew on. If you're now getting comfortable with the idea of safeguarding a digital private key that could control your entire financial future, how much time should you really be dedicating each year to physically maintaining those backups? The ones stamped in metal, maybe stored securely, perhaps even remotely. How much effort is needed to ensure those assets remain accessible not just for you, but maybe even for your grandchildren, decades from now? Something to think about. Don't forget, we have the best referral links in the description if you're looking to get started with some of the tools we mentioned. Welcome to subscribe to my channel and like this deep dive so that I can continue to make more content like this. We have the best referral link in description.